Okay, so let's talk about creating value. Remember, value is dark and light of the same color. Let's talk about creating value with colored pencil. Okay, so I'm using a smoky purple for this example, and I'm going to create a 3 value scale with my smoky purple. So I'm going to just do some little boxes right here. They don't have to be perfect. So I'm going to do a dark, a medium, and a light here, okay? And so for my dark, or I'm going to actually start with light. And I'm just going to do a very light pressure, easy pressure to create a light value in this little square, okay? And I want that to be a smooth, solid value. There's not any weirdness happening where it's like darker or lighter in one section. It's a nice, even, smooth, light value. Okay, then I'm going to go to my medium and I'm going to do the same thing that I just did. I'm using the exact same pressure that I used to create my light value. And I'm going to do a layer of that, okay? And then I'm going to do another layer on top of that. I'm using a little bit heavier pressure now, but see how because I did my light layer under my medium layer, I have a much smoother, much more solid color. Okay, so that's my medium. So for my dark, I'm going to do basically the same thing. So I'm not going to go into my dark areas and immediately try and create the darkest value that I can with my colored pencil by using a heavy pressure. The reason that I don't want to do that is because I don't want to create any kind of indentation or impression on my paper from my colored pencil. So instead, I'm going to use a medium pressure and I'm going to build up my layers. Okay, this is going to be really great for if you are blending colored pencils. This is a really great practice of using a medium pressure and building up layers to create a darker value. So as you can see, I'm just filling my box as nice and neatly as possible to create a dark value. So now I have a dark, a medium, and a light value of my smoky purple. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to use a straight up, this is just orange, and I'm going to do that same thing that I just did, okay? I'm going to make my little squares. I'm going to do a dark, a medium, and a light. Making sure that I am using light pressure and I'm making this color as smooth, as solid as I can, okay? That's the challenge here with your colored pencils, is just making these as smooth as you can, as nice, solid value as you can. Okay, so there's my light. The orange, for some reason, is a little bit more difficult for me. It looks like the pigment is holding onto the paper a little differently. I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to do my medium. Remember, I do even, medium pressure. I'm building up my layers so that I'm into that practice of having smooth, even layers with my colored pencil. Okay, so there's my medium, my light, my medium, and then I'm going to go in here with my dark. So because orange is a little bit lighter color, I am doing a little bit heavier pressure for my first layer here. But this colored pencil is pretty smooth, even though it's crazy art, that's okay. It is pretty smooth, but you'll notice, I would like to point out that the point of my pencil here, okay? Let's see if it'll focus. It focused here. Okay, the point of my pencil here, you can see how it's at an angle. I'm using that flat side, and I'm staying with using that flat side. I'm not using the point of that angle because I want to keep an even color. If I use the point of that angle, I'm going to get a darker value. So I'm using that smooth side that I've worked down with my pressure to keep it nice and even. Okay, so now I have a light, medium, and a dark. So you guys, this is not part of the assignment to do a value scale, but I wanted to show you value scales in colored pencil. The most important thing about value scales in any medium is going to be varying pressure. Okay, varying pressure, and that just means how hard or how soft I am pushing down on my material. So I don't have to create a value scale using little boxes. I can create a value scale continuously just by varying my pressure. So if I start here with my blue, kind of hard to see, I'm going to use a different color. Is yellow easier? Yellow on top of blue is. Okay. So if I start here with my yellow, and let's say that I'm going to go dark to light. So I'm going back and forth over this yellow, dark, dark, dark. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a medium. So I'm only going to go over a couple times. And as I move over, I am lifting up on my pressure. So then I can start to kind of blend those things in. Let me do it in purple. Okay. So here, heavier pressure. Going back and forth, still an even heavy pressure, a little bit lighter, back and forth, medium tone, a little bit softer, a little bit lighter, and there's my light tone. And then I can go back and I can start here really light and then put a little more pressure until I get all the way over here to this dark section, right? So that I can create a nice smooth gradient there. That's going to be really important. All right. Now let's talk about a little about, oh, let me get my camera over. A little bit about texture. Okay. So texture is going to be really important on this project with our Wormies because it's going to affect how we see that, how we see the wormy creating depth in our space. And so our texture needs to be nice and smooth. So let's try for a smooth texture, right? This is what we've been working on the other side on our value scales. So we're going to practice for a smooth texture from dark, medium, light, medium, dark. Okay, this is what we're going to be doing. So we want smooth texture. Okay, so now notice that all of my pencil marks when I was doing that were all in the same direction, because if I start going this way and then I start going this way, then I start going this way, okay, that's going to create a much different texture. Is this smooth? No. Okay, it is not smooth if we do it like this. So you want to make sure that your lines are all going in the same direction. So pay attention to your direction, right? So if I start going this way, then I need to keep going this way. So that would be a medium, dark, and I could go back over that to my medium, my light, medium, into dark. Okay, so I can create a texture here, but even there, it's a little bit smoother, but see the difference. You can tell a difference there, right? So you can have all kinds of textures. So we can have a rough texture. right? It's kind of going all crazy. You can have, what other kind of texture? This is kind of like a rough or a jagged texture. You could have, what else? We could have a grassy texture. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to focus mainly on this smooth texture here. All right. So let's get into your wormies. So I'm going to flip my sketchbook. So here is one section of my wormies. So I have this is the color scheme that I'm using. Okay. So I have two analogous colors, and then I have their complements, right? So I have this complementary pair and this complementary pair. But instead of doing complements together, I'm gonna do the analogous colors together, okay? So I'm gonna start with my orange, and I'm gonna start right here in this little wormy body. So see this little guy all the way top to bottom, this is one wormy. So he's gonna be my yellow and orange wormy. So just like I just was telling you, we're going to do dark values here. We're going to do nice smooth coloring. Okay, we're going to do dark value on the outsides. Then we're going to do a medium value and a light value in the center. So we have a medium, and we're going to have a nice big light value in that center, okay? Because the center is going to be in our mind. I want you to imagine that the center is closer to you, right? It's closer to you. And so because it's closer to you, the light is hitting it. So it's got a nice highlight in the middle. That's why the color is different. Okay, that's how the light hits the three-dimensional object. And so we're going to do a dark, and then we do a medium. All I'm doing is nice, even layering of my values so that I can create a smooth transition between my mediums and my lights. So I'm doing really light pressure here in the center, just filling in those white spaces. And there we go. Okay, so then my next one is going to be yellow, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Dark, dark, dark here on this side. Okay, building up that dark value, medium pressure, and then really light here in the center. So my center highlights, I want those to follow the shape of my wormy. See how my wormy has this kind of wiggly shape? So my highlight is going to stay in the center. So on this one, see how he goes all the way into the corner? That's going to be a really dark value of my yellow there in the corner, because he goes way down into the corner over there. And then I have a smaller medium value, and then here's my light value. Okay, so I would go in and smooth out those changes, those transitions a little bit more. Okay, but that's about how I want it to look. And then I would continue to just alternate my colors: orange, yellow, orange, yellow, orange, yellow, orange, all the way up. And then the wormies on either side would then be my other colors. So next to my orange, I would actually have his complement. I would have blue. So this wormy would be blue and purple. So again, heavy pressure in that corner, then building up a medium value, and then a really super light value there in the center for our highlight, and then medium and dark over here in the corners, okay? So that's how you guys are gonna go, and you're gonna fill in your whole wormies. And then eventually, you will get to a point where you've got this really three-dimensional looking wormy, because you've put your highlight in the right spot, right? Your light values in the right spot, and you've got a smooth texture that's going on. You're gonna help trick our eye that way. All right, guys, I hope that you have a good time with it.